In the desolate urban landscape of Rainworld, you are alone. After hours of wandering, learning, and dying, you will inevitably come across an expansive body of water known as Shoreline. Maybe it was once a normal patch of land. At this point in the game, you don't know about Five Pebbles, the mantra of Ascension, or the Void Sea, but you do know that something deeper is going on. In my playthrough, I remember being stuck here for hours, not understanding where to go at all, until this room. The entire point of this video is about small moments in games that I'll never forget. Things so special that they have encoded themselves into the annals of my memory, and will hopefully never leave. I still remember whispering the name of the area, Looks to the Moon, to myself. Area names always show up at the bottom of your screen, and up to this point they're all very grounded and understandable, such as industrial complex and drainage system. This is just weird. Looks to the moon? What could that possibly mean? It's this giant region with no enemies and peace. Some weathered superstructure you cannot possibly comprehend, let alone little slug cat. I think it's this contrasting feeling in this area that I love. Like, the chaos of the last 15 hours is seemingly so distant, as you are in a place and environment foreign to you. The moment is a lead up to Moon herself, but I'll always remember seeing the area name. Rainworld in particular is full of these small little moments, including one that I'll talk about later. Darkwood is no stranger to leaving things unanswered and being mysterious. One of the ways it accomplished this is through the flashlight fog of war-like view that you have. I'm sure there's a better way to describe that, but it's this stuff on the side of your screen. It's hard to notice unless you're looking, but there's basically a second texture map hidden under the fog. I like to think it's how the stranger remembers or assumes what a place is going to look like. The particular spot I wanted to talk about is the burned house. It serves as a barrier, preventing the player from going into a very late game area. When you first approach the building, a voice basically tells you to scram. You can see through the fog of war that it looks incredibly nice in the building with intact furniture, and they look pretty well off, especially compared to everything else. It's not until 10 plus hours later and many in-game days that you need to cross from the old woods into the meadows. When you get inside the building, there's this really cool moment, and the one I'm talking about, where you see with your real vision and in the fog vision, and they're both completely different. The building inside is actually a complete disaster, even though it looked lavish before. The moment also blends really well with the narrative, as you're likely heading to the final area of the game, and you're subconsciously reminded that you can't trust everything you see, which may or may not be foreshadowing. 56-12-2. Mori may be old news by now, and I kind of missed my chance to talk about it, but there are maybe hundreds of these really small moments in Omori that I could talk about, and they're all in context, but one that doesn't require a whole lot of context and is probably my favorite is the Miwo scene. In the deep recesses of Sunny's mind, there's a place known as Black Space. Within this space, there is a room. It looks like an operating room. A butler gives you a key, and you watch in horror of what's on the table. It's your beloved cat Miwo. The scene is actually heart-dropping, and it kind of speaks for itself. I mean, there's a cat on the table with all sorts of sharp objects, and the dialogue is horrendous, and the game makes you confirm, say yes multiple times. The decision, of course, is to cut open Miwo, whatever that means. In every playthrough, I've seen people think of everything to try not to face the reality of killing Miwo, including eventually they figured out that there is an option to stab yourself and return to Black Space. And everyone, including me, who remembers it's there, does so immediately. Congrats, you just chose to kill yourself rather than face a harsh reality. Once you realize that you've done it, it's incredible. A game just gave the player an option to kill themselves to not have to face reality. This may be pompous of me to include, but I really love this moment. There's something about being in Sunny's shoes and understanding why Sunny wants to kill himself in that moment that is just so incredible to me. Once again, maybe this is me being a little pretentious and reading too much into it, but take it with a grain of salt. A friend of mine also made a great video on this topic. This is probably the most talked about moment in the game, and it serves as the climax and fittingly the zenith of the world at the same time. I'm obviously talking about the journey up Five Pebbles, specifically through General System Bus. As Slickcat ascends the room, the track Random God plays louder and louder, the higher you go until you are in a wide room with hundreds of projected symbols, impossible colors, and overall just beautiful chaos. The sheer power and cognitive noise that you are put under mirrors what a tiny creature like a Slugcat might feel. We barely know more than the creature, and it's still completely incoherent. I mean it when I say this, but this is the single best usage of a track in video game history. I've had this thought since I played it in 2020, and I still think it's true. This scene genuinely makes me tear up to this day. Just a masterpiece in a random room, in a random superstructure, on top of the world, inside of a giant random god. These are a few moments that might be clouded by nostalgia at this point, but I love and cherish every one of them, even though it's mostly a surface analysis. This isn't even engagement bait, but I'm really curious to see what moments you guys think of in the comments. I read all of them.